Okay, now we want to talk about acoustic terminologies. These terminologies are still going to deal within the realm of room acoustics, acoustics within the room. These first two I like to call the bad boys of acoustics. These two guys are what cause intelligibility problems, cause communication issues, make it to feel like the room's too loud, too boisterous, too problematic. The first one is excessive reverberation. Reverberation can be easily defined by the overall noise that bounces around in a room and clutters it up and causes problems. It's the time it takes sound to decay 60 decibels within the room. It's also been referred to as the decay time of the room. This is the reverb time, and it can be measured by a test called an RT60. Again, it's the time it takes sound to decay 60 decibels. So if a room, they put a burst of energy into the room that may have 100 dB, it's the time it takes it to get down to 40 dB. Or if it's 120 burst of energy into the room, it's the time it takes sound to get down to 60 dB. It's a 60 dB reduction. Most gymnasiums untreated are somewhere in the range of 5 to 6, 7 seconds of decay time. This gives you an overall idea when you go in and if you were to clap and could create a burst of energy at 100 dB and could stop hearing it, usually around 40 or the noise floor at 40, you could sometimes go into a room, make a loud burst of energy, and then count the time it takes for the room to overall decay. The other bad boy that causes problems is echo. Now, echo is easily defined as a simple reflection of energy that comes right back into your face. We've all been to a canyon or into a location where you say, hello, and the sound comes back to you later, hello. Now, that is an echo. It's a distinctive energy that comes back to you at a slightly later time interval. Now, in a room facility, we have several different kinds of echoes. It's not just a distinctive hello, hello. Sometimes there may be two parallel surface areas and the sound bounces back and forth between. This can be a flutter echo where it just goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's the distinct slap, which is the one we were talking about a hello, where you have a large surface area, maybe in the back of an auditorium or in a large room, where you make a burst of energy or you speak and it goes out, hits that wall, and bounces back to you. The other one that can be very problematic is a focused echo. And it occurs when you have a circular or spherical surface area and the sound energy goes out, hits that, and then all the points in the room redirect back to the focal point. This is a great problem in a lot of auditorium spaces because in focused echo situations, most of the time buildings can be constructed based on sight lines so that no one has a weird neck crick in their neck after the message or the production is over. The problem with the sight lines is it's usually all a circular spherical space faced all directly on that center focal point, so wherever that center focal point is, that's where all the energy likes to unload in the room. The final one is just different types of ghost echoes or flutters where it hits off a wall and maybe gets a glancing blow or a glancing reflection. Now, these guys can cause some serious havoc in a room. They can wreck a service. They can wreck intelligibility and communication. Now, what we want to do to stop these bad guys is we need to introduce into some good guys into the equation. Now, the first one we utilize that basically kills two birds with one stone is absorption products. Now, absorption can be used in a way where you take a hard surface area and it stops the impact of the energy into that and stops it from reflecting off. It also, though, will absorb the overall sound of the room. Now, there's also panels or products that are made that both absorb and diffuse. Those products are also good to stop the overall reverb time and echo. Another product that is used quite often is diffusion products. Diffusion products will stop the echo problems and turn echo into reverberation. One of the best examples of this I can give you is, let's say an echo would be like a laser pointed into a mirror. The sound energy source, or in this case the light energy source, will intersect the mirror and come out at the opposite or glancing blow. If it's straight on, it's going to hit it and come right back. If it's on a glancing blow, it's going to hit it and angle off. Diffusion products, what they do is they take that same source, and it's almost like you break the mirror, the light source hits it, and it diffuses the energy in so many different particles and directions. That's what a diffuser does. So if you like the overall tonality and the overall reverberation time of your room, diffusers are good to help with distinctive slap that you may be getting off a wall, but keep the reverb time at a good location or a good level. Where you would need absorption would be where you have a room that is echoey and really long reverb times, and it kind of kills both, two birds with one stone, so to speak. Now let's look at optimum reverb times for facilities. It depends on what type of facility that you have as to what would be an optimum reverberation time. You can see quite well here that different types of facilities need to be within certain ranges. You have orchestra rooms where they have a much longer reverb time, and then you get into like rock band music or concert halls where they need the reverb time a lot tighter. And if you notice in speech intelligibility for smaller rooms such as boardrooms, classrooms, instruction facilities, you want those times to be very, very short because you want to be able to clearly and concisely communicate. If I'm still talking right now and my sentence, the first sentence lasts for 2 or 3 or 4 seconds while I'm still trying to make the next one, I may be in the second or third sentence of our conversation while the first one is still echoing or reverberating in the room. This becomes very important when you want to get speech intelligibility, when you want to clearly and concisely communicate your message. Now we want to talk about one more thing having to do with the two good guys. Sometimes it takes both good guys, or a little more of one and a little less of the other, to solve the two bad boy problems. Let's look at this from a different angle. Let's go back to our frequencies and how frequencies affect rooms. Sometimes you may have a room that has a lot of high frequency absorption, such as a lot of carpet, padded seating, all kinds of different things, curtains that could give you high frequency absorption only. And you may have a low frequency problem in the room. Well, you're going to need a product in there that's going to mainly absorb low frequency energy and diffuse or reject in nice information, diffused energy back into the room, the high energy. Such products exist. A little more trickier to assess, but it can be done. Where you have bass traps, things that absorb just the lower energy. There could be instances where the vice versa could be true. You need a lot of high frequency absorption, but maybe not any low frequency absorption. This is just something that really needs to be looked into because we want to try to balance the room in echoes. We don't want it to be a 6-second reverb time on the low side and a 1-second reverb time on the high side. We want to bring the room into balance. It would be no different than turning one frequency range all the way up on your stereo and turning the others all the way down, such as turning all the lows up and all the highs down. We want to do something that helps to balance the room and makes to where all frequencies across the frequency spectrum are easily able to be understood.